Welcome to the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention. My name is Sonya Bohmann, and I'm the Executive Director of CIASP. And today is our anniversary podcast, or our Pod-aversary.
That's a thing now? Pod-aversary?
It is now. Zulq, introduce yourself.
Oh, God. 6'7". Okay. I'm Zulq Malik. I'm principal at Smart Build Construction, but I'm also a board member at CISP. I've been around the construction industry for 30 years. For most of you that have been following, if you haven't caught on yet, I've been around. I'm the other half of Sonya. That's kind of like the little, not the great gazoo, the one that sits on her shoulder and pokes her and prods her all day long.
Right? The yin to the yang.
It's been a year, Sonya. It's like, wow.
I know.
You know what? Congratulations. I know that you spearheaded this on behalf of CISP to make sure that this happened. I don't have a clue why you picked me, but sure, you picked me. So,
Well, thanks for tagging along for the last year. It's been fun.
it's been a ride. It's been absolutely a ride. I appreciate it. And you know what? What's awesome is that this is actually reaching out to people and it's impacting them, and they're talking about it. They're asking questions and they're getting help. So it's working.
So our number one subscriber is my 82-year-old mother. She listens to all of our podcasts.
How come she hasn't liked any of my posts or anything? I'm hurt.
Not on LinkedIn. So she goes to, I taught her how to use her phone to listen to all of the podcasts. That was a big step.
Did she at least say I'm cute or something?
Well, she just listens. So I don't know that she's actually seen you.
That hurts, Sonya.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, once you go brown, you never frown, Sonya. You can cut that out.
We're cutting that.
No, leave it in.
Also, don't forget, Zulq, my father was Turkish. So we're going to keep moving.
That's why she went that way. What can you say?
All right. So we have, in the last year, do you realize it's been 26?
No, it honestly, it felt like we've done a few, and then you realize, we've done so many.
Yeah.
Some like conversation, you're going to go, really? And hold on, I'm choking you for one of my favorite episodes because you didn't prep me for it. But there's been some moments you kind of go, and then there's some moments you're like, oh my God, like these are tearjerker moments, but there are different kinds of tears that come out. Obviously we're recording this for our anniversary. We've already recorded some that are coming out. I can't wait for the ones that are about to come out as well, because we're learning.
Yeah.
We're getting different kind of guests because guests want to be a part of it because they want to share their stories. So it's kind of pretty awesome.
It's been incredible. And I did a little one when I was showing my mom how to use the podcast. I got to kind of run through some of the episodes because I was telling her which ones were my favorite and kind of prepping a little for this conversation. But there's so many really good ones. So let me ask you this. In the last year, not what was your favorite episode, but one, has this been everything you thought it would be? And what's the best thing? And what's the thing that's been the hardest for you?
So it's wow. So these are deep questions. I'm going to give it some deep thought today. It's been more than I thought it could be, because at the end of the day, everyone has a story, and they have some maybe one or two intimate stories from people they may know or they may have engaged with. I've been around construction for 30 years, and it just blows my mind, the stuff that's come out on these conversations.
Right.
So it's been way more than I can ever imagine. I wish we could do more of it.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, there's time constraints, and there's all these other things. Some of us do have things we have to do to keep the lights on. But I got to tell you, some of the people that we've got to know, that they stay connected through LinkedIn. It's like we've expanded our little community, and some of them are now friends, right? Some of them remain acquaintances, and that's perfectly okay. But it's pretty cool when people say, hey, I saw your podcast on CISP, and that's really awesome what you're doing, right? Like you're talking about it, right?
I feel like we have inspired some of our guests to do some really cool things. So one of our guests who was on very early in the podcast is now holding quarterly men's breakfast. Yeah, right. And I feel like maybe we had a little tiny part of that. And so the connections, you're so right. It's the sharing of the stories, and the connections are some of my favorite things that have come out of this.
I got to say, my favorite one was when we had the men's health talk.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of dudes, right? I'm going to say it. It's a bunch of dudes sitting around. It was slow to start. Like everybody was guarded. Everybody was, and everybody was like, do we say it? And then we're just like, okay, we're running out of time here. And then they started getting emotional, and they started sharing. And all of a sudden it went from a bunch of dudes to a bunch of bros. And the bros were really jamming and they were vibing. And it was just like, okay, great. We got to there. And you know what? That is probably what's happening on job sites. We just don't have enough time to vibe with people. I can't believe I'm using the word vibe because my daughter's really into vibing. You got to vibe with
You're evolving. You're evolving so
You know what? These people that are adding to my vocabulary, taking away from my vocabulary, give me new gestures 41, like all this stuff that exists out there, son. My daughter's trying to bring out 17. 17. So if you want to
Mm,
help start that for her, that's her new one. But that's the reality. We don't have time, and we need to step back and take. So if anyone could take anything away from today's Pod-aversary, because that's a new word, I said it. I even said it correct. Can I
you
spell it?
did.
Podversary.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an American version for the Americans. People need to give yourself a little bit of time, and you'll see how quickly you start to vibe with each other, and all of a sudden, you'll get that one little nugget, or you'll provide that little bit of support for someone.
I think we have more in common than we have that divides us. And hopefully, this gives everybody a little bit of a space to find that. So let's go even deeper. What was the hardest thing about this so far?
The hardest thing was hearing stories about people and their children. You know me, I had challenges becoming a
Yeah.
dad. I'm a dad now, but she's turning 9 in a few days. But to have to live that experience,
Hmm.
that's hard. I'm strangling you again. You didn't prep me for the John Gall story.
I know.
These guys that are getting up and talking about their families, especially their children. One thing is to say it's my brother or it's my mom or
Sure.
it's a cousin. When you got to talk about your own kid,
Hmm.
that's a hard story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really hard story. But to keep going, and I applaud all these people because they're tougher than nails, but they keep going, and they're not just going, they're talking about the story, they're living it.
Making a difference.
Yeah,
Right.
they're really sharing, and you know what? It takes a lot of energy emotionally. Like it drains you to be able to talk about that story. And I can just tell you, if it was my kid, I would have been in pieces.
Well,
Right?
that kind of goes towards what my hardest part was, is that these conversations that we've had, people, it does sometimes take a little bit to get the conversation rolling, but then they share such profound and deeply personal connections that cutting the episodes down into reasonable bites has been the hardest thing for me.
Yeah,
It's
it's
making those
hard.
edits so that, because I could honestly have hours long conversations.
No,
So just
really?
getting it to a point where it's bite-sized enough for a podcast has been difficult. We always go over our recording time because we start talking and talking and talking, and then
Yeah, you start
really,
talking, talking, talking.
no,
I
it
just
is.
did it once on the stage and I got reprimanded, just for the record.
Anywho, so let's dig into our favorites, and we're going to do it in categories and share what was the most exciting episode to record for you.
I gotta say it's the men's health session.
Okay.
I'm gonna lie, I don't have my screen up to tell you what the names are of all the gentlemen in there.
So it was Steven,
Yeah.
Jason, and Andrew.
Yeah. That was fun because it was, what is it, unraveling a thread and to see just what's gonna happen. I'm gonna keep pulling, I'm gonna keep pulling, and keep pulling, and then it unraveled. So I'm gonna say that was my most favorite episode to kind of record. Was that it was great. Right beside it was when we did the breath exercises, right? With
So Vic was my
Vic.
favorite. That's
Yeah,
so
Vic,
funny that
that
you
was a lot
said
of
that.
fun because I think you
Yes.
found another dimension of me that day. You're like,
Yes. Yeah.
wow, this
Yeah.
guy knows this shit.
I love Vic. He is one of my favorite people to talk to. Vikram Kapoor. He's amazing. And I love that there's that kind of woo-woo side, but the practicality of how it relates so deeply to construction and to safety. He was one of my absolute favorite guests.
I tried to pull that. I'm gonna go away to India to Shrine to
For a month.
research and study.
More
And
than 1 month, but yeah.
yeah. I tried that. It didn't work in my house.
Your whole family was like, no.
No, my wife was like, "Go, take a year." My daughter was like, "No way, daddy.
Mhm.
And where is this India? Why would you go to India?" I go, "They got good food."
One of my good friends is in India right now.
Yeah, and I said to her, I go, but ancestrally, I got heritage from there. So, but I think you learned a little bit about me. Going, what is this other guy like? How does he know
No,
about this
I like that side as
meditation?
well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know what? A lot of people don't get to see it. A lot of people don't get to see it in the CISP, the board meetings and all that.
Yes.
They get to meet my alter ego that comes out there, says, "Hey, we're here to do something. Let's get it done." But yeah, that was a deep one.
Well, I think that you hit again, you just kind of led me into my next thought was the most emotional. I don't think that a lot of people get to see that side of you either.
No, John Gall's talk about his son. I'm sorry, but first of all, had I been prepared for it, I think I would have gotten through it.
Hmm.
The fact that you didn't prepare me on purpose, you're like,
I
just
did
wait.
not prepare you on
No,
purpose.
no,
Like,
you didn't.
it wasn't
Okay,
an
my fault. I didn't
intentional
go
shock and
research.
awe. I just didn't know what John was going to share because we don't prep with our guests beforehand. We send them some conversation pieces. And sometimes John is comfortable sharing and sometimes he's not. It really depends on atmosphere. And so I didn't know what was coming until it was coming. I tried to give you a
It
little bit
came.
of a warning.
Yeah, you're like, hold it, hold on.
I said,
Uh,
wait for it, is what I
yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? I'm going to put you on the spot because you get to put me on the spot all the time.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about stuff that happens behind the scenes at CISP that nobody actually gets to know about.
Boy. Okay.
Right. So for everyone that's listening, do not think that any of us that are on this board or anyone that's part of this is absolved from all of this. We actually are learning to be each other's support networks.
Hmm.
Right. And I can't name names, but I want to name names, but I won't name any names. But it's really like, sometimes and we get ready, we're prepped to start to having a conversation and we're getting prepared something. And we realize that one of us is dealing with a crisis or dealing with an issue. And we're just like, that's happening to us. So I don't want anyone that's listening to this podcast to think it doesn't happen to any of us. We are going through stuff together all the time. We're trying to be each other's crisis counselors when we can, because it's real in our lives as well. And we were like, guys, we're on CISP board. That shouldn't happen in our world. Shouldn't happen to anyone that we know. It happened to me last summer where someone in my family that was struggling, there was an attempt.
Hmm.
Luckily, I was able to reach out to you and say, I don't know anything about young ladies. What do you do here? Right. And like, here, boom, 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 boom. Right. So, but and it's like we have all these resources. We built them around construction. One day we're going to build resources on how to help families. Right. Like one day we're bigger, stronger. We have more time on our hands.
Absolutely. And I think that while we can put out all of these great resources and we can do all of these great things, when it comes down to it, there are people involved, and each one of those numbers is a person, and each one of those people has family and coworkers and people that care about them. And this work is hard. This work can be really, really hard, and it can be really isolating. And it's important that you have support systems because without them, you often question why you're doing it and if you're making a difference. So, yeah, I mean, we've had a tough year.
Yeah, we've had a hard year this year, in the
Yeah.
last year, and I think that the fact that we're able to turn to each other. Listen, guys, Sonya lives in a complete different city than I do. I live in
We
Toronto.
live in a different country. Let's be
Well,
really clear about
I'm
that.
not sure if we're going to be different for much longer if it depends on your
Right. Well,
preference.
currently we are in different
We're
countries.
we're gonna stay that way, just let's keep it that way. If you wanna move up here, we're happy to welcome you in. But, we live in different countries. We get to spend time, a lot of it's virtual. We do
Almost
get a
all of
few
it.
times a
Yeah.
year where we're in person and we get to hang out together. But, like, I don't come over to Sonia's place on Friday night and have dinner with her. She doesn't come to mine. We're welcome to come anytime you want Sonia to Toronto.
Sure. But we have a country that separates us.
Yeah, well, it's just an imaginary line according to certain people. But someone drew it on a map. It doesn't matter. We'll name it whatever we want to name it. But we have to be each other's support network because these are deep conversations we're having.
They are.
And,
Absolutely.
we exit some of these things and we're just like, we're emotionally drained and we still have to go on. We still have to get our day jobs done. I mean, this is your day job. I have a day job, but we still going forward. So what was the most moving thing that happened to you in the last year that is off the air, on the air? I don't care, Sonia, but I want you to share it because I know you're itching to bring it out and I want it to come out.
The most moving thing that's happened to me is certainly, I think, having those moments where you get to be 100% vulnerable and being comfortable in those spaces and not knowing that those spaces existed until in happenstance they did. We went through something really hard this year. I'm not a huge crier. It's not who I am. But it definitely rocked my world, brought back a lot of emotions that I probably keep under wraps because this is my day job also. And it made me recognize that to do this and do it well is that you sometimes have to let those emotions out, and having a support system that in that experience, first of all, let me say that we were prepping to be part of a really big event at the same time. And so, compartmentalizing wasn't an option at that moment. It was you have to dump these emotions so that you can move forward with these emotions. And just having you and others in this sphere, I often say that the hardest part of this job for me, because I'm a party of one, is that I don't have coworkers. But it's those moments where you recognize that you really do have them, right? And that you
Yeah.
have this amazing support system of people that are doing this and also know how hard it is because they've gone through loss as well.
Thank you. I know you're using your guarded. I'm going to keep my guard up, Sonya. I'm going to poke you still some more.
All right, bring it on. Bring it
Bring it
on.
on. It's hard.
Right? Yeah.
We've had losses at the board member level that,
Yeah.
these are people that were fundamental to the growth of the organization. There's a lot of unanswered questions in our brains and our
Hmm.
minds and everything else. But we were getting ready for ConExpo,
Hmm.
which, for anyone that's listening, largest organized event in construction in the
Yep.
world, hands down. And we had another board member who was not. They were dealing with the situation. It was like, hey, we have a prep call to do, but we have to stop. And what I really appreciate and I'm grateful for, Sonya, is that you said, listen to what Zulq's saying. He has another dimension.
Hmm.
Just to stop the situation and bring them down and say, we need to breathe. Just
Right.
let's take some deep breaths. So did we get what we needed accomplished? We did at ConExpo, but that day it was about taking care of each other at that moment in time.
Absolutely.
And there's a newfound appreciation for another board member that's like, oh my God, Zulq did this, right? You do
Well,
this regularly. You're a giving person, Sonya. You're very caring. But there are people on our board that are just as caring. But sometimes we just don't let off our guard to say, hey, you can talk to me too.
and I think it's hard because we are all there for a purpose. And so, in some cases, just like a job site, you think that the person who is doing that toolbox talk is there just to check a box, or the person from the office who comes in with the donuts and is like, we're going to talk about mental health today. It's just about checking a box. But they really care and they want to make a difference. And I get to see that so often is when people reach out to us and say, how can we bring this conversation to our teams? Because we want to protect them. We want to add one more layer of safety to this conversation because we want everyone to go home and come back safely every single day.
Is that we want people to be safe, generally speaking, right? Regardless of what they do. When they're on the roads, they're with their families, they're experiencing a sporting event. We want everyone to be safe. Like that's just the
Absolutely.
fundamental nature of being a good human being.
Yeah, absolutely. So and in that same vein, I think my most emotional episode was with Greg Sizemore. Greg holds a special place in my heart. I often quote him. And so, as we know, Greg is retiring and it
He
was a little,
retired.
he retired, although
He's
he's still
retired,
around the
but
world.
he's not officially away from us.
It was definitely emotional to have him step away. He was my first boss. He was the board chair when I started at CIASB. And so that was one of my favorite, most emotional episodes.
So you think about emotional episodes, and I think part of the reason I got involved here was because of Greg.
Hmm.
And Greg and I met at ABC convention. Of course, he's a busy guy. He's an
Of
important guy.
course. Yeah.
Running around. Why would anyone want to hang out with me? There was an issue between, that had to be organized. And Greg was, he was like, I got 800 things to do. I don't need to referee you children today. And I'm like, Greg, I got this. Step aside. This is not the situation where it's going to diffuse it. I go, do you need a hug? And he looked at me. You need a hug? Get the hell away. Like, I'm like, do you need a hug? And we diffused the situation. He came back an hour later. He's like, Pontiac, is it resolved? I'm like, Pontiac? I'm not Pontiac. I was talk about Rolls Royce. I don't drive those kind of cars. And I go, yeah, it's done. I go, you still need a hug? He goes, yeah. Big hug embrace. And we went
My
on.
goodness.
He just took care of it. And you know what? The moment wasn't about arguing. It was about an emotional moment. Just, hey, we're going to embrace each other. And we're going to stop this. And we're just going to take a breath. And it was really our breath moment together.
Sometimes
So
that makes a
Greg's an awesome
difference.
guy. I got to share with him, like me and him get to chat privately. And I got a chance to share with him our board meeting that we just recently had. And I said, Greg, it's moving now in the direction
Mhm.
you and I were talking about, what you and Sonya had envisioned. It's getting there. We're going from being a pure newborn baby, and we're in the infantile stage. Guess what? We're crawling and walking now. I go,
Mhm.
it won't be much longer where we're going to be waddling down the streets and running. I said, I hope to God we still have our diapers on because we don't want to screw it up,
Big
but we're
things
going
are
to
happening. Mhm.
we're going to be good. So he was excited to hear that. He's like, Zulq,
Awesome.
he said in our podcast, if there's any legacy he wants to leave behind, it's this.
It's this.
Not the
Yeah,
years of construction, not anything.
absolutely. Yeah. So, most surprising episode for you? I mean, we've had a lot of really good ones.
Yeah, they're all kind of like, they all leave you different. Like they reshape your edges in a lot of ways.
I think I could say that the one that you fought me the most on and was like, I don't understand why
Yeah,
we're doing
why?
this. I don't know why we're having this guest on here. This doesn't make sense to our ecosystem.
Yeah.
Was Ted Ma, and I think you walked away pretty surprised about that
Yeah.
conversation.
No offense, Ted.
Right?
Thanks. But yeah, listen, I'm an analytics kind of guy. Like, when you're sending like Sonya and I share like emails.
Right.
And she sends me emails and I read them when I'm like reading them. And then I have to go like look somebody's profile up. And I'm doing a very I don't chat GBT a human being. Like I just don't do that. I won't lie to you guys. I'll type their name and I'll look at their first couple links and I'll assess the situation. And yes, it's one of those where we have to say, hey, well, why am I doing this? Why am I investing time and energy into this? Is this going to do something? Is this aligned to what CISP is? And Sonya, you see a lot of people that are adjacent to construction. I see going, okay, well, how are they really adjacent to construction? How do they intersect with construction? Because our message is about the construction industry. And the construction industry is so vast, right? That we have a lot of parallel conversations, but at the end of the day, our ecosystem is huge. And I want to make sure that whatever we do brings meaningful insight to the people that are in our industry and our ecosystem, right? So yeah, Ted, no offense. I had nothing against you, but I just had nothing for you. Sonya said, we're going to do this. I'm like, oh, great. And it was a great episode.
Yeah. I mean, he talked about mentorship. And I think in that same month, we had Elise Dubb, who talked about community. And so the two of them really setting up that conversation about finding and like you had said earlier, find your people that will hold you up and build you up when you need them the most.
So which is your most memorable one, Sonya?
Man, my most memorable one. We've had so many really good ones. I have to say that one of the ones that I loved the most was one, you weren't even on this one.
Thanks.
But
you feel special.
I had an opportunity to chat with an apprentice named Jared Bartholomew. And Jared was and is so excited about entering the trades. He's a bricklayer. He's about to graduate from a tech school. He even has entered a couple of bricklaying competitions and won them. Nice. But just seeing the pure joy of someone coming into our industry was that, like that smile and his excitement, I think will stick with me for a very long time.
Fine. Without
I know, I'm sorry, but your schedule is so busy running a company and shit.
This year's going to be a better year, Sonya, if I'm not traveling. But
that was one of the ones that sticks with me for sure.
Okay, awesome. Now, I know we want to keep this tight today.
Yeah.
We can talk about this forever. I know you have a question about dream guests. I have my dream guest, but I think it's nothing to do with CISP, but it's a dream guest.
Yeah.
So who's your dream guest, Sonya?
Okay, well, obviously it would be Matthew McConaughey. We talked about this, but I don't think he's joining, and that's for a whole other conversation for another time. But Matthew, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. But from the construction realm, we already recorded with my dream guest, and we are going to air that episode during Mental Health Month. So
You love accents. I get it, Sonya.
I
know it. You're an accent girl. All right.
It's not necessarily about that, but it's really about what they bring to this conversation. So I'm really excited for that episode.
Yeah. You know what? It's the one I kind of sent you an email for one of the young men that we should interview from Canada.
Yeah. I reached out to him, so I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to, he's not my dream guest. I mean, my dream guest is Halle Berry or someone. I won't lie to you guys. I mean, hey, you got Matthew McConaughey. I can't have.
Right. I'll give you that.
Vanessa Williams. I mean, I got a list. If we want to go through my list.
I'm sure you do, but we're going to let that go for right now.
Fine. We'll go off that. What I'm excited about is some of these younger people that are wanting to change the narrative and they're willing to step up to say, hey, I want to be part of this conversation because I've seen stuff and it's not right. And they have the courage to do it. Whereas, I'm not going to say I'm old, but I'm old. I'm at the latter end of the runway for a career, but we're still guarded. They're not guarded. So I'm excited to see what this next generation of workers and where their heads are at, because quite honestly, listen, I'm in the technology space, Sonya. I mean, I transferred from building stuff, having a construction company, to construction technology. And it's these kind of thoughts that are going to help drive what we're going to build in the future, and getting to understand their emotional state will build better tools and better products. But the fact that this young person said, hey, I saw a problem, no one helped this individual, and they died by suicide. Actually, first he said they committed suicide. Actually, it's called died by suicide. I learned that this year. Right. So I'm learning. I go, he died by suicide. And he's like, oh, you know what? That's a good point. He did. He just died. So he died by suicide. And he's like, but I think the system failed him. Why? He goes, well, the system put him in a high pressure situation without preparing him for it. So he's kind of started this program saying, hey, this is a mentorship program. And I think the industry suffers from it in a great way, is that we have attrition. Oh, you've been here the longest, you get promoted. Congratulations.
Right. We've
No
talked about that.
training. It's you. By the way, now babysit all these people. And you're like, I'm not equipped to babysit.
We don't give them the tools to do it well, right?
No. So I'm curious to see what the young people are going to say about our industry, and the young people in their early 30s or 20s. I think they're going to really reshape our conversation. And I can't wait for our 10th anniversary podcast, Sonya, where we get to go look at how much the conversation has changed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
From your lips to God's ears, right? Hopefully we are at this 9 years from now.
That's right. Looking forward to it. It's been
Absolutely.
a blast, Sonya. I can't wait to do some more. And thank you for having me, for starters, and trusting that you and I
Thanks
could.
for joining.
Was
It
that
was a bit of a wild idea. I'm like, hey, let's do this.
I'm like, okay. Hey, listen, people question, why is it you and I? And I think it's the yin and yang. So, Sonya, thank you. It's been a year. 9 more to go to say we did it on our 10th anniversary.
That's right. Take care, Zulq. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.